I'm 46 years old, and my wife is 44. For this, I'll refer to myself as Larry and to my wife as Katie. We have 2 grown children, a son 23 and a daughter 21. Katie has another child on the way, scheduled to arrive at about 3 months. He wasn't planned, but I was overjoyed at the thought of becoming a dad again. Before I get to the issue at hand, I'll provide some background on my situation. I've worked for the same company for 19 years and earned a good living. My wife was a stay-at-home mom until our daughter turned 16. Then she got a job. Katie worked in an administrative position for a company close to our home for a little over 4 years. Then, a few months back, she abruptly switched jobs and now holds a similar position across town. While she did get a modest bump in pay, it wasn't enough to justify leaving her previous job. At the time, she said she needed a change and just grew tired of working at her previous employer. A few months after she started her new job, I was contacted by the wife of her former boss. I'll call her Brenda. Brenda informed me that she discovered proof that her husband and my wife had a physical affair 6 months ago, right before Katie left the company. At first, I didn't believe it. That is until Brenda emailed me copies of their communications. I won't lie, seeing those messages broke me. From their communications, it appeared the affair lasted about a month, and they were together on at least 3 occasions at my house. In one of their final communications, her boss asked her to leave me. He insisted that if she did, he would leave Brenda. My wife replied that she couldn't because she loved me. That's where it appeared she ended their fling, and this ironically coincided with when she started looking for another job. After she gave notice to her boss, there were numerous messages from him begging her to stay and offering her things like a big pay raise, additional bonuses, and allowing her to work from home 3 days a week. He also promised to keep their relationship professional going forward, but my wife refused his offers and left the company. From what I could tell, she had been in no contact with him since that time. According to Brenda, after she found out about the affair, she kicked her husband out and filed for divorce. Not only that, she reported the situation to his HR department, and he was fired from his management position too. She told me it is her goal to make him suffer and regret what he did for the rest of his life. I thanked Brenda for making me aware of the situation, and we planned to keep in touch. That night, I confronted Katie. At first, she tried denying it, but then I showed her the mountain of messages. Seeing the evidence, she broke down crying, admitted to everything, and begged for forgiveness. She said all the things you'd expect a remorseful person to say after getting caught cheating. I told her right there that I would be filing for divorce. She begged me not to, stating she broke off the affair and quit her job because she loved me and wanted us to be together forever. She also said we need to provide a wonderful home for our son when he arrives. I told her if he is mine, I will be a great father to him, whether I was married to her or not. Katie looked at me puzzled and asked what I meant. I told her she knew what I meant and then told her that the day he is born, he will be DNA tested. I then said, if it turns out he's not mine, I will play no role in his life. Hearing this sent her into a full meltdown. She kept insisting that the child was mine, but I told her we'll see. With this, she ran upstairs crying, and I used the opportunity to call her parents and explain what was going on. They came right over to comfort and support me. Katie admitted everything to them and cried throughout their visit. That was a tough day, as later that same evening, I also ended up telling both my kids about the situation after they got home and saw us all sitting in the living room with their crying mother. They were in disbelief and really upset by their mom's actions. That night, I moved Katie into the spare bedroom. I also stopped sharing meals with her and spoke very little to her since. My dad suggested I at least talk to a lawyer about the situation to protect myself and my assets, which I did the following week. I met with an attorney, and I'm glad I did. She recommended I have the DNA test done immediately. She also explained that upon getting the results, if the test showed I was not the father, she recommends filing a challenge of paternity case. I talked to Katie about it, and she agreed to do it, so we had an appointment set up for the following week, but Katie kept asking me not to do the test until after the baby was born. She even offered to sign an agreement stating she will not hold me responsible if I was not the father, though she swore I was. I told my attorney of Katie's offer, and my attorney insisted I proceed with the test and told me to stop talking so much to Katie. I took her advice and I explained it to Katie, and she tearfully accepted my decision. Katie started behaving nervous and was a wreck, and even took paid time off from work until after the test date, as she couldn't concentrate. Her behavior led me to believe the worst, but we'll see. So I talked to my kids and encouraged them to support their mom. I also told them no matter what happened with the paternity test, they will soon have a baby brother, and he was going to need their love and support. They understood and agreed. I have to be honest, at that point I was torn about the paternity outcome I wanted. On one hand, I'd love to have another son, but on the other hand, I was 99% sure I was going to divorce Katie regardless of the paternity results, and I reasoned that if the test shows he was not mine, it will make my decision to divorce her much easier. Well, fast forward a few days later. The result of the test came out, and the baby wasn't mine. Remember before when I said I was torn about the paternity outcome? I wasn't. I really wanted that baby to be mine. When I got the news, it felt like the wind had been sucked out of my lungs, and I had a full-blown panic attack for the first time in my life. Katie was a complete mental case and took leave from her company. She continued pleading with me and pledged to do everything to get me to stay in the marriage, but I was done. This truly broke me, and I wanted it all to be over with. I asked her to move in with her parents, as I couldn't take being in the same house with her as the mental stress of the constant crying and begging was overwhelming. She reluctantly agreed, but only if I'd promised to keep talking to her. I agreed, but limited our contacts to 2 calls per week. I stuck to this, though she tried calling me every day, but I typically didn't respond. In one of her texts, she told me she was not going to inform her former boss that he's the father and will not be pursuing him for support. I told her that was not my concern. She went on to say she wanted me to be the father and that no one but our immediate family would ever know I'm not. She said I could think of him as my adopted child. I blew up and again told her I had nothing against the child, but I will never play any significant role in his life as I had no more connection to him than a man off the streets. She cried and pleaded for me to change my mind and even tried to guilt me into it, but my resolve was strong. It was during this period that my regional president talked to me about moving down to North Carolina to run the office down there, and I was strongly considering it. My kids wanted me to take it and said if I moved, they were coming with me. My son is a skilled tradesman and can get a job just about anywhere, while my daughter was still in college at the time and was about to graduate. So I decided that if I do end up taking the job, it wasn't going to be for the money. Instead, it will be to get away from my area and move to a place with milder winters. Well, fast forward to 10 months later. Katie and I got divorced and she had her baby. It was an amicable split and we divided our assets 50-50 with no alimony or child support. Also, at the suggestion of my lawyer, part of the agreement was that Katie would not give the child my last name. She was sad about this and initially objected, but finally agreed, giving the child her maiden name. I didn't realize parents could assign whatever last name they wanted to a child. My attorney explained that in our state, you could give your child any last name you wanted. She said she had seen women do this multiple times, and it just causes confusion for everyone. Katie and her son are still living with her parents. I'll talk more about this later. Next, I took the job in North Carolina and absolutely loved my new position and the area. Everything is so clean and new down here, and I live midway between the mountains and the ocean. I bought a brand new house and my son moved in with me 3 months ago. He's already working steady and is earning nearly 20% more than he earned up north. My daughter will be wrapping up her degree in December, and she plans on moving down here at the beginning of the year. My parents have been down twice and have fallen in love with the area. They are considering buying a patio home and eventually want to retire here. I'm pushing them to do it now, but they're a little hesitant on pulling up stakes. I think I've almost got them convinced though. Now for Katie and her son. My kids told me that she's been talking about quitting her job and moving down here too. This has upset her parents as she's their only child. She's trying to convince them to move with her, but they're not interested. My kids have temporarily gotten her to tap the brakes on this, explaining to their mom that she'd be losing their grandparents as trusted babysitters. I hope to God she doesn't move here, as doing so will once again make my life so complicated and stressful. She hasn't mentioned anything to me about this, and I hope she doesn't. If she decides to move here, there's nothing I can do about it, so for now I'm just letting things play out. Right after our divorce was final, Katie continued calling and texting me like we were still married. Last week, I told her she should only contact me when there's an important issue involving our kids. She said okay, but continued contacting me over simple, unimportant nonsense. Inevitably, each of the conversations always goes to her asking me how I'm doing and her telling me how much she misses me, how sorry she is for what she's done, and how much I'd love the baby if I just held him one time. I quickly shut this down and once again explained to her that I have no ill feelings whatsoever towards her baby and hope he's healthy, happy, and grows up to be a successful young man. I again reiterated that I will not play any significant role in his life. I said if I ever see him in events with our kids, I of course will be kind and treat him well, but nothing more. I also told her to stop calling and texting me. I told Katie to email me when there are important things to discuss about our kids, and I will then decide if we need to discuss the matter. For some reason, she was unhappy about this and cried, saying talking to me was the one thing that's been keeping her going, and if I take that away, she just might lose it. I held firm, and she eventually complied with my wishes. So that's where things are now. Even though Katie obliterated the great life I once had, I feel like I've been reborn. In fact, I feel as alive and forward-looking now as I did when I was 20. I actually feel better now because I have complete confidence in myself today that I didn't have back then. For those of you that are curious, I've not started dating again, but plan to start after the first month of the year, taking it slow. I'll never walk down the aisle again, but I would like to find a woman to share my life with. Sorry, Katie, that person will not be you. In closing, I want to thank everyone for listening to my story. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.